All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Give me touching on the top prop bets for the Wednesday games. It's a big slate, so I'm trying to get ahead. We already are getting some prop bets out already and some pretty big NBA news. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first game that we're getting prop bets for tomorrow is going to be Washington versus Cleveland. It's about a 9.2 for a spread, but a decently high scoring game, 240 or so. Looking at the injury report for that team, Danilo Gallinari is going to be the only one that we're worried about sitting for Washington. For the Cavs, it looks like all the players that have been out recently are going to still be out. Garland and Evan Mobley are out. Jared Allen is going to get a smash spot going against Washington. Sure, he might have let us down a couple of days ago now, where he got to 31 points, rebounds, and assists. Did not get the half for another point, I guess, to get the over. That was unfortunate, but maybe he's someone we could look for as a bounce back bet today. And I am just going to be using Underdog because right now they have the prop bets out. I am doing this the night before for the most part, so all in all, these lines could change, but that's kind of why I want to do these videos a little bit earlier, basically when the lines come out, because we can gain some big edges. So the player that I want to highlight is actually going to be Allen, seeing what prop bets we are getting for him, because again, gets a smash spot against Washington, was a little bit of a disappointment in the last game. Let's see. So his points, rebounds, and assists is at 35.5. The data is liking the over there, about 51.2% chance to. So, obviously not a great EV bet, and then all the other data points are telling us probably bet the under. But let's go ahead and take a look at the matchup again. He's going against Washington. This is a smash matchup. In the last game against Toronto, only 34 minutes, which I say only. I mean, yes, we want him to get an extra minute in that game for sure. Maybe that would have been the difference. Honestly, it probably would have been in terms of him getting that over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. But now he's going against Washington, and I would say a comparable match would be that against Dallas. But we got to remember, in this game, in these three games really where he went off, Donovan Mitchell was out as well, so he had a higher usage rate. He was the team, and so yes, this is going to be a great match. Okay, the one thing I'm concerned about is that on the season he only averages 3 assists. Lately he's had 4, 6, 6, and 7, and so the reason why his assists were up was because Donovan Mitchell was out. So Donovan Mitchell being back, it makes sense why he only had 4 assists. The issue, or the reason why he didn't get his over in the last game, is not because of his points. Sure, 5 for 11 is terrible. I do not expect that in this game. You would expect him to at least go 7 for 11 if if he's still getting 7 shot attempts up. And honestly, I would have expected him to get more rebounds. So all in all, I think that's a fine bet. To me, if you guys are someone that bets on DraftKings or FanDuel or BetMGM or something like that, to me that's a better bet there than it's going to be on PrizePicks as it sits right now. At the same time, that's going to be one I expect to get bumped up. Also, he'll be one that we probably want to look at fantasy score wise as well. And then with that, let's just take a peek at the rest of the props that we are getting for Cleveland right now. I do think Dean Wade for under 1.5 threes made is casually a good one there. That's not one that you would think would pop up as a good prop bet. And I'm wondering if the reason why this one's even out there is simply due to him potentially getting more blowout run, because all in all, the chances of him getting like more than 21 or 17 minutes that he had been getting is pretty low. If the blowouts happens early, sure, he could get closer to 26 minutes. And he is someone that, yeah, if he is hitting a shot, he could get a little bit more run as well. But man, that seems thin in terms of that seems like one we should be betting on. Sorry. I don't know. That's a weird one. If this was the end of the video, if this was one of the only good bets that we were getting, I'd be like, yeah, let's hammer this one home. But right now, it's early in the video. We'll see what other prop bets we get. So let's jump into Washington here. Washington, man, all the unders are being favored. That is crazy, guys. Wow. Jordan Poole under rebounds, about a 53.5% chance at 2.5. That's crazy. Kyle Kuzma under rebounds at 6.5, 53% chance that. I mean, that is pretty crazy there. That just tells us that, yeah, Vegas really thinks Cleveland is going to have a good game in this one. So all in all, probably do not want to touch any of the Washington props. Yeah, I'm actually good with passing up on that, even though this is going to be a high game total. So let's go ahead and check out the next game. And so the next game that I know for sure that we're getting props on is going to be Milwaukee versus Indiana. This was an awesome game in the last game. It's a 3-point spread. 258.5 is going to be the over and under. We do have some kind of key injury news as well for this game. Chris Middleton, currently a game time decision. And if we're looking at the Pacers, Bruce Brown is a game time decision, and he might actually play because Andrew Nembhard played in like 2 minutes of that game. For DFS purposes, he was kind of chalky, and then him getting injured actually meant that a even chalkier Bennedict Mathurin really went off in that game. So definitely some interesting spots for both teams, especially if like Bruce Brown and Nembhard sit. If Chris Middleton sits as well, that's crazy. So we do need to touch on that. Let's start out with Milwaukee. So for Milwaukee, it's definitely worth pointing out that if Chris Middleton is indeed out, that's going to shift a lot of usage and a lot of production, because he has been someone that has been starting to play a little bit more run, about 33 minutes per game recently. And so the player that actually benefits the most with Chris Middleton off the court, and I think it does make sense, is actually Damian Lillard, averaging 29 points per 36. And so instantly, I think we are gaining an edge here if Chris Middleton sit. Again, it's a big question mark. We don't know for sure that he's going to sit, but looking at it, I kind of want to just call it Lillard's per 36 production. So he averages 29.1 points with Middleton off the court. We're seeing the rebounds and assists one is the best like data bet right now. He averages 5 rebounds per 36 and 7.2 assists. So already, over there. That's about 12 for the total then. Averages a 31% usage rate, which is obviously high for what it's worth. Giannis has a 36% usage rate. He gets about 5 more shot ups per 36 as well. And yeah, it's an 8% bump in his usage. So all in all, Lillard would get a big bump if Chris Middleton was out, and it does. And in that game, last game against Indy, he played 38 minutes. Okay, they seemingly really wanted to win that game, and Lillard had a terrible game against them. 1 for 9 from 3, 3 for 16. I mean, he just had himself a terrible game, but he was able to get the over rebounds and assists. We don't expect Lillard to have that bad of a game again. That is clearly an outlier game, clearly just a poor night shooting game. But the last time against Indy as well, or in two other games against Indy thus far, 21 and 24 points. So yeah, he has kind of struggled in terms of the production against Indy. At the same time, Chris Middleton being out would definitely help him. To me, I'm looking at this, going through it now, and maybe there is something with the matchup against Indy. Maybe we do just want to do the rebounds and assists to get a little bit of safety. I wouldn't be shocked to see Malik Beasley maybe get a few more shot attempts up. The data doesn't necessarily agree, though. Only averages about 2 more points per 36 with Chris Middleton off the court. So the next person that we're probably wondering about is really just Giannis. Giannis does have a 35% usage rate with Chris Middleton off the court, which is only a 3.5 bump. And really his numbers kind of go down with Chris Middleton off the court. And it makes sense. You take away a shooter, that's going to take away some of your assists and a little bit of your rebounds as well. I do find this line crazy though, his points, rebounds, and assist prop, because he has had his way within. So yeah, last game he had 30 points, 11 assists, 18 rebounds. And I don't know if it was on the Occupy Fantasy live stream or right before it when I was talking with the co-host. He mentioned that he was betting Giannis to get a double-double, and I was just like, if you're doing that, you might as well just bet him to get a triple-double in this matchup. And that was pretty awesome to see that happen. But yeah, against Indy guys, he should be able to crush, okay? Went off in the previous meeting as well. Obviously in the in-season tournament, still had a very good game against them, but didn't have as many assists. And that to me is the biggest worry. If Chris Middleton is out, I do think that does hurt Giannis in terms of his assist total, which would then hurt his chances of getting this over of 56.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And I want to point out, yesterday this line opened up at 55. I think it went down to 54.5, I believe. So this is definitely high. This is definitely an increase in the line because he had a good game last game. And again, I actually worry that this bet right here, under 7 assists, might actually be the way to go. Again, if Chris Middleton is out, we might actually be able to do a correlated bet if Middleton sits. Now, from there, we don't exactly see any correlation for anyone else. Brook Lopez had himself a good game against Indy last game. He could be someone that definitely has another good game, but all in all, that would feel like we're probably forcing it. Let's take a peek and see if we're getting in any Indy props. I would imagine we're not, but let's see. Oh, we are. All right. This could be a good thing. And the reason why this could be a good thing, again, is because with the potential for Andrew Nembhard to sit and also Bruce Brown being out potentially as well, that's going to open up a lot of minutes and a lot of production. We saw in the last game, both those two players being out led to a lot of production for Benedict Mathurin. He had himself a very good game. 25 points. I mean, got to the free throw line, 9 free throws, 15 shot attempts as well. So obviously that was a higher number for him. If we look at the other games against Milwaukee, only 8 and then 12 in that game, but didn't have a good game in that game. Definitely feels like an outlier game for him. The one player that I feel like we could kind of trust to have a decent game is Aaron Naismith. And I say it that way because shooting wise, he did not 1 for 10, 1 for 7, but he did have an effect on the game. 2 blocks, 3 steals, 5 rebounds. So he is someone that is going to be involved. And so we look at the per 36 production, or just the minutes. It does go Mathurin, Hield, Naismith, McConnell, and then actually Isaiah Jackson gets some run with Bruce Brown and Andrew Nembhard off. So Aaron Naismith, about 15 points per 36. Might not get 36 minutes. Probably going to get closer to 31. 4.4 rebounds, 1.3 assists. Really, we might be looking at him for blocks and steals or something like that. Averages 1.4 for each. So about 3 blocks and steals per 36. Again, probably not going to get 36 minutes, but with that game total being as high as it is, you're going to expect a few sloppy plays here and there. Wouldn't be surprising if he gets involved defensively. But yeah, maybe we're just looking at Benedict Mathurin, who had himself a very good game last last game, clearly. That was definitely an outlier game. That's kind of my worry. But only 1 for 5 from 3, so it's not like he was knocking down threes. His per 36 production with Nembhard and Bruce Brown off the court, and I do think 36 minutes is what we could bank on if those two players sit, is 23 points per 36, 5.8 rebounds, and 2.2 assists. He averages 4.7 more points per 36. So yeah, definitely someone that does get a bump, and I doubt we're going to get props for him. And also TJ McConnell could be someone we're looking at. 22 minutes in that game. In another game against Milwaukee, he had himself a pretty good game on limited minutes. We know with TJ McConnell, he's a points per minute type guy. I doubt we're going to get props on him, so really not worthwhile mentioning. And I doubt we're going to get props on Isaiah Jackson. He'd probably be more of a DFS play if those two plays ruled. And so yeah, now looking at the prop bets that we're getting for Indy, are there any that are popping up? I would say Aaron Naismith is decent at 3.5. I kind of like that in that high game total. I'd be fine getting there. Maybe even points, rebounds, and assists, not on PrizePicks or Underdog. This would be a much better bet on FanDuel or DraftKings Sportsbook, where obviously the payout's going to be much better. And actually, just let me check that as well. So I added this new tool in there, and so it's kind of a simple tool. All you have to do is prop lines are the same, click yes, and it's pretty much, this tool is a way of gauging whether DraftKings Sportsbook is in line with the average sportsbook line elsewhere. So for example, Peyton Pritchard right now, his rebounds here is off compared to the average sportsbook. So it's a weird way to kind of show it, but all in all, the line difference that we're getting is about a 1% difference in the likelihood. And so with them undervaluing this line for Peyton Pritchard, it's an edge that you are getting. And so no, not exactly. It'd actually be the other way around here. So slight edge, I guess, with Aaron Naismith there for the under, but yeah, not too worthwhile. And I do just want to mention Haliburton as well. He really had himself a good game. The assist kind of finally went down, only 11, right? 9 rebounds. He had himself almost a triple double as well, 26 points in that game. Their game totals have not went as high as Vegas has thought. I believe it's over 3 over the past 3 games in terms of the game total hitting. I'm pretty sure. And so the lines that we're getting are obviously going to be dictated by the over and under lines that we are getting. And so for Haliburton, his lines are going to be the highest because obviously he's their star player at 43.5. Again, if that line is wrong again, the under probably has a decent chance to hit. These two teams just met. They're going to be able to kind of figure out some adjustments and whatnot. So I don't know, that it almost feels like more of a stay away, whereas on the previous slate I kind of mentioned I expected Giannis to dominate. Yeah, I don't know. I do think there's an edge if Middleton is out, though. I do think you could be in a pretty good day to edge. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game. So I believe we're getting some for Portland versus Dallas. It's an 11-point spread, 235 or so. We're going to get Dallas props, I'm pretty sure, because they're not banged up. We're not going to get Portland props. We might not get those until like noon tomorrow because they're still banged up. Okay. Aiden expected out. Reed, he could play. We don't know. Simons could play. We don't know. Sharp was back last game, but he didn't do too much. Scoot Henderson has been playing much better recently, so tough to say what we would want to do there. What we do know is that what's the thing that we've been doing on both sides? Bigs against Dallas, bigs against Portland. So I'm curious, are we going to get some good lively props? And I guess I don't really know who the big is for Portland right now. It's Stringer, who actually had a decent game, but tough to say for sure. Yeah, we're not going to get Portland props, but let's see the Dallas ones that we are potentially getting. Let's see. We are, and yeah, no Portland prop. Interesting here. Derek Lively, they're actually telling us to bet the under. The average sportsbook line is favoring the under at about 53.6% chance. So, you could round up and say 54, but don't do that. It's just very interesting there. And full disclosure, I have no knowledge about this center at all, who played 23 minutes, got 6 fouls, no 1 block. I don't know if he's a defensive presence or not or whatnot. Obviously just got called up. I have no idea if that's going to be a harder matchup for Derek. But Derek Lively is a guy that, yeah, if this game relatively stays close, he should have a good game. But also, if they're doing the blowing out, I kind of want to call that out because 14 rebounds in the last game that they blew out a team. In the next game, 10 rebounds in that game. Against Portland the last time, that's the concern. But he only played 6 minutes. I don't know if he got injured in there. I'm assuming he got injured in that game. And so continuing on the last game against Portland where he did play a decent amount, 28 minutes, 9 rebounds. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. But he did have a good game. I want to point that out. 10 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. I mean, that's a pretty good game on limited minutes. And so his points is at 10. That's probably correct. Points, rebounds, and assists. Let's see for him. I'm just going to sort by Derek Lively. 20.5. I would be okay betting the over there. I think that's fine. I think I would give it more of like a 52% chance to hit. And then from there, I know Kyrie got off to a slow start in the last game, shooting wise, and they already bumped his assist prop from 4.5 to 5, so that's interesting. But yeah, maybe points wise, the line for him last game was set at 19.5. Originally it got bumped up a little bit, and no, he did not get over 19.5 points. He had a terrible game, and this is a much better matchup, I would say, for him than Luka. Again, 6 for 14, 2 for 3. He started off the game like 0 for 7, I believe, and still ended up with 14 points. Didn't really get to the free throw line. I'm curious, did he play against Portland at all? He did not, so all the other data points that we have for like Luka are going to be a little bit skewed as well. So with that, yeah, we're not getting as many prop bets for Dallas as I thought we would have gotten. So let me check the next game that we are getting props for currently, and all I'm looking at right now is DraftKings Sportsbook, and just assuming that Underdog is also giving us those lines as well. They typically do. Now, we don't want to just use Underdog's lines because we can use other ones that are being pulled in currently. So that's why I'm not just looking at DraftKings. But yeah, the next game we're going to get is Clippers versus the Suns. So I wanted to take a peek at that. About a 2.5 point spread, 233 for the over and under there. We already know that Kevin Durant is going to be out in this game. For the Clippers, everyone's going to be healthy. And so we do have a decent sample size of life without Kevin Durant for the Suns. Not really with Bradley Beal on the court. There's only 106 minutes going into that. I'm going to put that into the data set. So it's going to be Bradley Beal on the court, Kevin Durant off the court. For the most part, it's just gonna be 100 minutes, and it's not a very big sample size. I just want you guys to know that. But what it's looking like, and I'll pull up Phoenix here as well, prop wise, and let's start with Devin Booker. So Devin Booker's per 36 production, again, this is like 60 minutes total because they haven't been healthy. It's another Kevin Durant team where you never see the big three health. But in the sample size for Booker, it's only 18.4 points per 36. Again, terrible sample size. 6.8 rebounds, 7.5 assists. And so maybe we are looking at rebounds. I'm actually curious, what did Devin Booker actually do in the last game with Kevin Durant out? 8 rebounds. Maybe there's something there. I want to take a peek at it then real quick with Bradley Beal on the court, or just, sorry, with that data of Bradley Beal being on the court, just take that out. Devin Booker's production then becomes 28.9 points per 36, 5.8 rebounds. And so already I'm thinking this is a good prop bet here. The over 4.5 rebounds for him, and then 7.3 assists. So all in all, yeah, I think we're getting a decent edge there for Booker in terms of rebound. I don't think we want to touch on the other ones. Maybe points, but yeah, I feel like that's a little bit too thin for Bradley Beal. Let's take a peek at him, and I'll do it first with just Kevin Durant off the court. Beal averages 21.4 points, 5.4 rebounds, 3.4 assists. So really nothing here is getting me the warm and fuzzies for Bradley Beal as a bet. I mean, maybe 20.5 points. Maybe we could bet the over there. Again, I'm curious as to what he did in his last game. Again, this is against Portland, so not the best sample, but did play 34 minutes in that game, and that was a little bit shocking because it was the back end of a back-to-back. Now, not the best game, but yeah, did get 21 points in that game. He's going to get a few more shot attempts up. We kind of know that, or I would assume that. And he does. He gets about 2.5 more shot attempts up, averages about 2.2 more points per 36. I don't know if we want to touch Beal just yet. Honestly, it's probably just looking at Grayson Allen to continue to kind of have a heavy minutes workload, but Josh Okogie's back as well, so maybe not. Honestly, like, I don't think anyone's like a smash bet. Even like Yusuf Nurkic, who only played 25 minutes in that game. Again, blowout. He had himself a good game against Portland, as you would expect. Yeah, I don't know if there's any good bets there with Kevin Durant off the court, except for Devin Booker for over 4.5 rebounds. And that's the first one I like, so I'm literally just going to put that in right now, and then we'll continue on with the video. All right, the last and final game that we are getting prop bets for currently is going to be Detroit versus Utah. 7.5 point spread, 240 is going to be the over and under. Looking at that, this is why we were getting the props, because not too much injury news in terms of stuff that we haven't seen just yet. And for what it's worth, here's the rest of the Suns props. Yeah, not too much there again, except for I think this one for Booker rebounds. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on into, let's start with Detroit in that game. Now, Jalen Duren has been someone that has been playing well, but we are seeing his under turnovers is kind of pulling up. So interesting there. Cade Cunningham, rebounds and assists 35.5. That's okay. Bogdanovich for over rebounds and assists at 6.5. We are getting some interesting ones, and this is going to be a good matchup for someone like Bojan Bogdanovich. And so his rebounds and assists have been, I don't want to say a little sporadic, but a little bit sporadic. It's so weird, and it's literally in the games where it seems like they're staying close, he's doing well, rebounds and assist wise. This truly feels like a gamble in terms of him getting the over there. All in all, it's a decent percent likelihood. If you guys want to roll with that, you can. You're basically betting on the game staying close. Cade Cunningham, let's take a peek at him. He also is in a good spot. going against Utah. So you would expect him to be able to get his average of 23 points, but also you'd expect him to get his over that as well. Last game against Houston, more difficult matchup seemingly, had a terrible game in terms of points. 3 for 16, 0 for 5 from 3, only 6 points in that game. Typically speaking, I don't mind targeting basket getters after a bad night shooting. And for what it's worth, the last game against Utah, 28 points in that game. So all in all, I don't mind that. Did have 6 turnovers. That's kind of alarming. I don't believe Jalen Duren was back for that game just yet. I'm curious though, was he? No, he was not. So that makes sense. We're not going to have a good sample size for that. But Jalen Duren has been crushing it, guys. 14 rebounds in the last game, 17, 14, and 15. So really, since he's been back, not only has he been getting some minutes, but he's been getting a lot of rebounds. And kind of should hesitate to say that. 22 minutes in the last game because he got a foul. Still 14 rebounds, still 12 points, still double-double. And so his turnovers, I could actually probably get behind under 1.5 turnovers. But I'm actually curious, what other props are we getting for Jalen Duren? Points, rebounds, and assists at 26.5. Do we really think that John Collins, Walker Kessler, Kelly Olynyk, Lauri Markkanen are going to get him into foul trouble? I wouldn't necessarily think so for Jalen Duren. Now, it's not as good of a matchup as it is for the forwards and the guard. But yeah, I just don't see him getting into foul trouble against those two. So I could get behind the over points, rebounds, and assists for Duren, assuming that he gets 30 minutes. If you want to do the over rebounds, again, that's kind of the same assumption there. I guess I'd be fine with that as well. Let's go and take a peek at any Utah props that we are getting as well. John Collins over 5.5 rebounds is the best one. Fontecchio had himself a very good game last game. I doubt he's going to do that again, and that's probably why the under's being favored there. Markkanen 20.5 points is something that might be catching my eye. One interesting one yesterday was Colin Sexton's points, rebounds, and assists. It really dropped throughout the day, and I thought seemingly for no reason. But I do want to point out that they are healthy now. Utah is, so that could be part of it, where I'm sure it was somewhat matchup based, but he only played 19 minutes in that game, and he did not get close to getting that over. Last game against Detroit, had a pretty good game, played 32 minutes, 19 points, but with them being healthier now, I don't know if we can trust his minutes to be there. And for what it's worth, that's kind of been my issue with John Collins as well, is that you really can't trust the minutes to be there. Again, though, this is a game that's supposed to stay close. He should get closer to 25 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes like he did in the last game against Detroit. And so for John Collins, where his rebounds is set at 5.5, I could potentially get behind that, because if he is going to be playing about 26 or so minutes, he should be able to get over 5.5 rebounds. So I don't feel like that's as good as Devin Booker, but I do think that that's probably the next best prop bet that we got. And I do want to take a peek at Lauri Markkanen for over 20.5 points. And he is someone that he will get around 36 minutes if this game stays close, I'm assuming. But his minutes are also kind of capped. I guess in the last game against Detroit, he sat, which I do think is noteworthy for John Collins. That's probably why I got the minutes. So there might be something there. But yeah, I don't know. Give him a few more minutes, give him about 4 more shot attempts. I do think he has a great chance to get over 20.5 points. I don't feel the need to put that in a bet of the day slip, but if that's one you guys are thinking is a good prop bet, by all means, you could go for it. And then I do just want to highlight some other injury situations that are going to occur tomorrow. Obviously, I'm recording this video earlier. We don't know what's going to happen, but I do want to just touch on some situations. So OKC versus Thunder, both teams are seemingly going to be good to go. I do want to point out that Onyeka Okongwu is expected back for Atlanta. So Clint Capella was someone that I thought the data was wrong on, where it's kind of suggesting, I believe it was the under points, rebounds, and assists for Capella. And I'm like, I kind of want to bet the over fantasy score for him in his last game. That's not going to be something we need to be looking at for tomorrow. For Houston, Dylan Brooks is out, and I kind of mentioned like Jayshawn Tate and also Jabari Smith. Like, I'm like, oh, if one of those two is out, the other one's going to get a big bump. They actually both played and both played well. And it was Tari Eason and Jabari Smith is what I mentioned there. But all three of those players, I think when one of them is ruled out, the other two get a bump. So again, if Tari Eason is out, those 25 minutes that he had been getting or so, and he's been productive in those 25 minutes, Jabari Smith would then get a slight bump. Okay, he didn't really have a good game in his last game against Detroit, which was a little bit surprising, but that's because Jayshawn Tate did have a pretty good game. So weird spot for Houston. I think that's just noteworthy. We're probably not touching that though. For Minnesota, they're going to be good to go. For the Pelicans, they are good to go as well. The Pelicans are playing right now. That's why we're not getting prop bets for them. Toronto, I do think it's noteworthy to call out the minutes that occurred for Toronto. They're going against Memphis, who is also playing right now. So that's why we're not getting the Lions. We'll probably get them after the games ends. But RJ Barrett played 29 minutes in that game. Had himself a good day shooting. I mean, he was above his average in that game. I kind of expected him to have a good game in that game. Just first game, kind of biased. You want to play well for your team and whatnot. Memphis is not a terrible matchup, but I guess, did he play well? Five personal fouls, 5 turnovers. That's tough to say, but he shot the basketball well. Quickly, I believe, did he get the start? I thought he got the start in the last game. Yeah, he did. And Knicks fans are just like punch. Quickly started, and he played well. 14 points in that game, 2 steals, 3 assists, 6 rebounds. The question is, like, how many minutes can we project these guys to get? Is it going to be 28 minutes? I mean, probably. Memphis is not a terrible matchup. Maybe Ja Morant sits on the back end of back-to-back. I doubt it. But all in all, should be a decent match for Quickly. I'm very curious to see where his points prop comes out to be, because, I mean, 5 for 13, that's not terrible, but it's not great. Yeah, I'm interested in where his lines come out to be there, because Dennis did not get as many minutes as he had been. And I am still curious as to if Jakob Poeltl, Pascal Siakam are going to continue to get a slight additional run. Pascal Siakam got 40 minutes in the previous 2 games now with OG gone. And that could be something that continues again. He was someone that I thought was in a smash spot the last 2 days, and that has occurred. And then Jakob Poeltl as well. He got 37 minutes in that game. Now, he was going against Jared Allen, you know, another big there. But man, guys, it's a bet on the minutes with Jakob Poeltl. We know it, and the minutes could randomly not be there. But he got 37 minutes in that game and 35 minutes. So in 2 games with OG off the court, he's gotten 30 plus minutes and 35 plus minutes. I mean, that's crazy. We know he's a point per minute producer. And so they're going to have a tough time giving us lines for Jakob Poeltl. You got to just know that if you are betting his overs, and let's say they're at his average here, know that you're betting on the minute, because he should be able to get the over of his average. What would this be, like 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists? I think that was what the line was at last time. He should be able to crush that like he did in the last game as well. So very much depends on his minute. And then from there, let's see any other spots here. Yeah, Chicago's still banged up. Tough to say what we want to do there, honestly. And then New York. I do want to call it New York as well, guys, because they just traded for OG. And so OG came in and played pretty well. 17 points in that game. Did follow up, but 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. I mean, that's a pretty good game for him. Chicago, kind of a even keel matchup. Don't probably need to do too much with him. I did mention that I thought Dante DiVincenzo would be a good prop bet if they put his points prop at his average. I didn't see if they actually came out with any New York Knicks props in the last game. I do know that was a good call though, right? Like it was a tough call because he did only play 26 minutes. That's probably the worry there, is that we're probably going to see him not get around 30 minutes like he did in that game with Quickly and RJ Barrett out, but it does seem like he might have earned himself an extra rotation. And so maybe we get a good points prop on him. Tough to say for sure. And then Josh Hart as well. He was someone that I mentioned that, you know, if he's going to be getting us additional run, or just additional run about 30 minutes in this game, he should be someone that we're seeing his rebounds prop start to be favoring over 6. And I don't think that was a fluke that he got 11. I mean, him getting 11 rebounds is a fluke, but him getting more rebounds with Barrett and with Quickly gone was not too fluky. The data actually suggested that he's closer to 6.5 rebounds per 36. And so slight edge. And then also it is noteworthy that the Heat are still pretty banged up. Butler's going to be out. Honestly, it's been tough to really gauge who we should be going in on for Miami. I mean, just in general, that's how they operate. It is a good matchup for Bam, for Jaquez, for Hero going against the Lakers, but I don't know if I want to be touching them. And the Lakers are giving more minutes to like Jared Vanderbilt, who I will point out would get more run as well if Hachimura is going to be out in that game. Cam Reddish sat out in the last game, and also Russell sat out in the last game. There are 2 players that if they're out again, I would think that Austin Reeves would go off again. Like the data says so. This was one that I was actually surprised by throughout the day. It was a prop bet that we weren't getting at the time. I did mention that he was someone that gets a massive bump with Russell off the court. So if he's off the court again, guys, like he should be someone we're looking at. 1 for 5 from 3, but still had 20 points. Like that is what happens just because he gets a bump in his minutes. Like it's not like his production really went up. It was just he got more minutes because Russell was out. And so that is something we could expect. Again, a little bit more difficult matchup against Miami, but he is someone maybe assist-wise, maybe points-wise. You're giving him a slight bump because he's going to get 7 or so more minutes. That's huge. So guys, looking at another bet to pair with Devin Booker, I am struggling to find another one. I guess like to make it bet of the day for you guys, I would go with Dean Wade. We saw that all these prop bets are about a 53% chance that all those good ones that we have, like Derek Lively for under 9.5 rebounds. That wasn't one that I really agreed with. Jared Allen, over points, rebounds, and assists is one I could get behind, I could get talked into. Do I really want to recommend that? Not necessarily, just obviously given the fact that that game has the potential to blow up pretty fast and maybe doesn't get those minutes. Malik Beasley forward 3.5 rebounds is another one that has about a 53% chance to hit. I will say Giannis for under his assist is somewhat interesting, hoping that Middleton sits. And then it does feel risky, but you could do Lillard for over 26.5 points. Again, hoping that Middleton sits. If Middleton plays, I don't hate his over points, rebounds, and assists, but also not one I feel like we would need to bet. And then also, if I had to make it a 3-slip bet for underdog, I would probably go Cade Cunningham for over 22.5. Don't love that. Now, guys, I do want to call it, if you are going to use any of those bets and you guys are a first-time user for underdog, use the promo code 9to5. That'll kick back some money my way to the channel. It's a good way to help support the channel. You guys already do a pretty good job of that. I appreciate you guys, honestly. But and the people that have done this, it does not go unnoticed. It really does not. I do it. But that's going to be all for today's video. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's have a good slate on Wednesday. Make sure to give a like and subscribe, hit that notification bell. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want access to that underdog cheat sheet or PrizePicks cheat sheet, once those prop bets update, it's available at 9to5sports.com for $10 a month. Thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate, and as always, let's keep cashing.